What is a popular opinion on Reddit but not so popular in the real world? People should leave their job if they're being mistreated. In reality, we have bills to pay with nothing to fall back on. Well, apparently according to Reddit there are 6-figure remote jobs for everyone everywhere, so it should be easy to do, of course. That the answer to every relationship problem is to leave. What do you expect from a website full of antisocial people with superiority complexes? Tons of social people on Reddit, but most people in happy relationships don't hang out on relationship advice subreddits. LOL, this is true. Immediately found a healthy, loving relationship and unjoined any dating subreddits. From the outside looking in, it was toxic and kept me from a relationship. Proceed with caution. As someone who has been in a relationship for 12 years and happily married, I sometimes go to those places like a tourist and just people watch. The situations people get themselves in are interesting. How on a mythia hole people often think because you are legally right that absolves you from being in a holy. Also that step-parents should simultaneously unconditionally love a child, most of the time this is true, but also have zero authority over them and the household because they are just merely a step-parent, and if the kid, for whatever reason, chooses not to respect them, then the kid has every right not to listen to them. That sub reminds me of watching an episode of Seinfeld. Yes, you may be in the right, but you're still in a holy. This is what bothers me the most. I understand how to a kid loving a step-parent could feel like a betrayal of the original parent, because kids are kids. But we don't think that having a new kid replaces a previous kid or that you can only love one kid. Loving a step-parent doesn't replace a parent, it's just an additional one. And the relationship with each doesn't have to be the same, just like a parent's relationship with different kids might be different. Because that sub is populated by teenagers who are angry that their step-parent told them to clean their room. Not a popular opinion necessarily, but the confidence of which commenters make false statements. Like full confidence talking out there, but in real life I think it would be easier to tell they're actually dumb. My in-laws make false statements with absolute confidence. When it's something I don't know about it sounds true, but then they talk about things I know a lot about and everything they say is wrong, leading me to assume they're wrong about everything. Don't remember who it was, but someone in the software industry said something along these lines about Elon Musk after he bought Twitter. He said a lot of stuff confidently about cars, and I know nothing about cars, so I figured he was right. He said a lot about rockets and I don't know anything about rockets, so I figured he was right. Then he said a lot about software development and I know a lot about software development, and I know he's wrong, so now I have trouble believing he was ever right about cars or rockets. I'll try to find it in a few and come back and edit. Yes, if you always say things confidently it sounds this guy really knows his things. This manager in my last workplace would talk about such intellectual things at times and I was like, wow. This guy is quite intelligent. Then one day we were discussing which direction is southeast and he joined in. And once again so confidentially he goes, it depends which way you're standing. And that's when I realized he is an idiot who just speaks confidently. I had to explain to him north is always north. South is always south. It doesn't change based on which way I'm facing. After that I started challenging him in a lot of things he said and he never had substance behind his initial statements. You don't owe anyone anything, LOL. Try living like that in every situation and see how long you have friends or relationships. Sometimes you gotta suck it up and just do the right thing. Just make sure you don't go too far and get used in the process. I've seen someone point out that if this is true, so is the reverse, that no one owes you anything, which you should remember because it teaches you to be grateful for the acts of kindness and politeness others show you even though they don't have to. That people's opinions on Reddit are well-formed and intelligent. Most Redditors are absolute morons in real life. I often wonder how frequently I'm arguing with a bored 15-year-old. I remember getting in an argument with someone on Reddit, then checking their profile and seeing they were a teenager who was also in another thread complaining about their high school math teacher. And I was struck with the realization that they were so uninformed and cocky because they were a literal child. Yeah, it sure is an eye-opener. Also a good reminder to not take the internet too seriously, I guess. It's weird how on Reddit there are dumb comments on a serious post and yet Redditors talk about American politics on a post about the diameter of Freddy Fazbear's balls. Wow, cute picture of that dog on r/ah, but have you and your pet discussed the upcoming interest rate hikes caused by the international financial crisis? Wow, can't believe you went there. You are obviously uneducated and an imbecile to have such an opinion. Obviously I am right because my Microsoft Bing document from the 17th page of my search said so. ChatGPT said we weren't going to crash until the 15th. Clearly you have not been on Reddit long, or else you would have known that nobody searches things on Reddit. If you even think there's the tiniest hint of a red flag in your relationship, you should break up with your partner immediately. Don't talk to them about it, don't get advice from someone who knows you both, don't try to understand their perspective. And it doesn't matter if it's the girl you've been talking to for a week, your boyfriend of 3 months, or your spouse of 10 years, dump them today. Just the single word as a comment, run. Which is great advice if you were considering visiting a relationship sub. Being introverted is better than being extroverted. Also, Reddit doesn't seem to know the difference between introverted and antisocial. Or the difference between introverted and shy. I'm shy, but I actually gain energy from being around people I'm comfortable with. I'm not introverted. Being a shy extrovert is tough. I used to be shy, but I always got lucky with a really outgoing person randomly befriending me in new situations. On my first day in 4th grade at a new school, an outgoing person sat next to me, and he happened to live in the same neighborhood I was moving to, so we hit it off and I was able to follow him in social situations and ride those connections I made to high school graduation. And in my first day in the dorms, a really outgoing person happened to live across the hall from me. Again we hit it off, and he was my connection to the party and social scene. We remained roommates till we graduated, and will still keep in touch in spite living states away. Now I'm not shy, so it's not as much of an issue if I wanted to meet new people. Any post of an animal or child on Reddit, no matter what context, has an upvoted comment explaining how the video depicts animal/child abuse. I don't think people think what a vast majority of those videos show are things people consider abuse in the real world. No use trying to reason with these people. I tried once and a woman said I should never have children, lol. For context, it was the video of a child looking scared at his mother wearing a leopard costume vacuuming the living room. I saw a whole comment thread on TikTok where several people were calling it abusive to vacuum the house while your teen is sleeping in, lol. Yep, textbook case of abuse, I'm afraid. What else can we say? Go for therapy. As someone who has been in therapy a lot and absolutely been helped by it, Reddit makes it seem like it's as easy as just go to therapy whenever you have issues and it will solve your problems. It requires money, time. Usually therapy is during office hours and it might not be so easy to get time off work as often as you need, and you might need to change therapist quite a few times before you find one that's a good fit. Though, as a first step, getting a job that pays enough that you can afford therapy and is fine with you taking off in the middle of the day will greatly improve your mental health. This is an excellent point. I try to remember to say, the right therapist is great if it is accessible, and to suggest alternatives if it isn't. But honestly, alternatives are often subpar to the right therapist. Note I said, the right therapist, twice BC. So many are not a good fit and that can be useless to harmful. The Big Bang Theory is blackface, but for nerds. You can get away with saying that on Reddit and lots of people will upvote you, but that's actually a pretty cringe thing to say in the real world. The way that black people have been mistreated for decades in the United States really doesn't compare to the depiction of one character being a creepy nerd on a sitcom. More to the point, sitcoms have been sending up all sorts of tropes for literally decades. It was about time nerds got their due. Frankly, I think it's a gross and offensive misunderstanding of blackface when you compare it to a show about nerds with great jobs and lots of money and, mostly, hot girlfriends. What do you mean mostly hot? You saying Amy isn't gorgeous? The old lady vibe is hot AF. I'll fight you.
Thank you for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing, comment what you liked and how I can improve my content.